Okay, in this video, we're going to learn how to do a text wrap in Adobe InDesign. Adobe InDesign has this really cool feature, and it's kind of an artificial intelligence feature that called Select Subject, and it's also in Photoshop and Illustrator, I believe. But it's an artificial intelligence feature that kind of figures out what it is you want to select. And when we're wrapping text around an object, we have to define that object and we have to put points around that object so that the text can repel that object. And best way to show that to you is to show it to you. So let me share the screen so that you can see what is going on here. And what I have here is an object, a photograph, and you can see the text wrapping around that. Now, why would we need that? Well, you know, it's kind of an aesthetic, kind of a design thing where designers like to, you know, manipulate text and make it flow around an object for, you know, for looks. And it's a nice feature. And it allows you as a designer to do some interesting and creative things. So here is an example of, let's say, a page in a book on animals or on the zoo. And these are objects that you're familiar with because you use them in the last assignment. I'll go to another page where here is an advertisement, let's say, for shoes. And again, we have this idea of text wrapping around this object. So how do we do this? How do we get it where the text will actually wrap around? Now, back in the old days, when we used to do paste up, we used to have to paste down the lines of type and then actually cut in between each line and slide it over until it wrapped around our object. Obviously, we don't have to do that anymore, so it's much easier. But until recently, until this Adobe Sensei, we still had to kind of select the object and plot points manually around this object, which was kind of time-consuming. But now you'll see how quickly this can be done with Select Subject. So first thing I'm going to do is go to a blank page. And I'm going to import a image. So I'm going to file, place an image, Command D. I'll go to one of my folders here, and I think the folder that we'll use is the San Diego Zoo folder, where we'll grab one of those. Let's use the cobra. Okay, so we'll use this snake image, and we'll import that. So I'll open that up and I'll just kind of arbitrarily draw that box that the cobra sits in. Okay, so we have our object here, and now we need to create a text box. So let's say this, let me hit my W key. I'm going to draw a text box here, and with the text tool, I'll just draw it outside of the object here, let's say about that much. I'll fill it with placeholder text. So I'll come up to the text, to the type, fill with placeholder text, and I have my text here. Get on my selection tool. Now if I grab this text and I put it on top of the snake here, you can see that it is on top and it goes over. What we want is the text to kind of wrap around the shape. What we have to do is we have to take our object, and so this is step one. Whatever the text is going to wrap around, you must select that. And we're going to go up here to these fields up here. These are the text wrap fields, and right now the default is no text wrap. We have wrap around bounding box, wrap around object shape, and so forth. We're going to choose the wrap around object shape. I'm going to click on that, and so now this object has a text wrap applied to it. Now, in order to get the Adobe Sensei to work, the artificial intelligence, we need to have our text wrap window or menu available to us. And as you can see, I'm in the typography palette configuration here. In the typography palettes, you have an object here or a menu item here called text wrap. And if I click on that, you can see the text wrap parameters here. Now, if you don't have this in your palette, let's say you're in Essentials Classic or something else, I actually put text wrap in here. Then simply go up to Window and you'll see the text wrap option here. Click on this, it'll come out, and then dock it into your dock so that you do have the text wrap function here. Okay, so if I click on text wrap, you can see that it is the wraparound object shape that I chose up here. So when you bring out the text wrap menu, you can choose it here too. And these are the same, but this gives you more this gives you the fields that you're going to need to use. So with this selected, I'm going to go over to the contour options here. And the contour options that I want to use, if I click here, is going to be select subject. Right now it's same as clipping. So I'm going to use select subject as my contour option. When I click on select subject, if I zoom in here, you can see that Adobe Sensei has now selected my object. It has actually put a selection of handles and points around my selection. You can see that by clicking on these points. You can see that I can pull these things out. This is the selection that goes all the way around. So it's smart enough to know what it is, and it's actually even smarter. If there was a background here, it would still probably select the snake because it figures that that's your, the subject that you want. Okay, so now that we have the object selected, I can then come in and take my text box and move it over this, and you can see now how the text is wrapping around the object. Okay, you can see that text wrap there. I have too much copy here, so I'm going to just kind of delete some of this copy. Let me just keep deleting some of this. Okay, that's good. And I'm going to make this text box a little bit shorter here. Okay, so you can see the text now. I'm going to lower this down a little bit. You can see how the text is wrapping around this object now. Now the problem is that it is wrapping around the object, but it's very close to the object. I want to offset the text away from this object, this snake. I want some space in here. So what I'm going to do is, with my object selected, I'm going to click on text wrap. And right here, you're going to see that this kind of pushes the text away by a certain amount of increments in inches. So if I click the up arrow, you can see that now 0.0625 of an inch, you can see what happened there. You can see that was before and after. And I might go even one further just to open that up just a little bit more. Okay, so I like the way that that text is wrapping around here, but what I don't like is the way it jumps over this snake up here. A few ways I can change that. I could bring this up a little bit, but still, it's still jumping over this area here. And I would like the line to go straight across. So one of the things I can do here is, let me drag this down a little bit. Yeah, see how it's wrapping, but it's wrapping in a very funny way. Okay, so what I'm going to do is once I have the offset correct on this side, I'm going to zoom in here. And with my, when I select my object here, I'm going to use the direct selection tool. I'm going to select the object. And you can see these points here. See how it offset it 0.125 of an inch? But that means that these points here are all too high. So what I need to do is I need to drag these points down. And I'm going to grab these things and drag them down and get all of this down so that this text will go across and fit. See, I'm dragging these down like that. Okay, you see how that fits now? Got to still drag this one down. Drag this down. Drag this down. Okay, it puts a lot of points here, and it could be, you know. All right, now I don't want this text right here, so I can push this up, this node up, and just kind of, yeah, see how it repelled that and it pushed it over to the side here. So this is the new configuration. I'll do Command 0. And I'll click off of this. And you can see now I have a much better text wrap. It's not jumping over this snake. Okay. Another thing I could have done is I could have moved the snake around, and you can see a different way that this will wrap. I can move this up now. Okay, something like that might be nice. Turn my W key off, and I have a nice text wrap here. If you look at my previous example here, what I did was I said the king cobra. So if I wanted to add that text, the king cobra, I can come over here and with the text tool, and I can come up here and click and hit my return key once, and then come up and type in the king cobra. I'm going to highlight this and make it a different typeface. I think I used chunk 5 on this, which is a typeface that we're always using in this class, chunk 5. I brought the point size up bigger. And then I centered just this highlighted word. So up here under the alignments, I centered it. Okay. And then I think I just highlighted this and gave it a different color. I can go to my swatches panel and maybe, you know, give that red or whatever. Okay, so that is how you would wrap text around an object. You bring in the object first, you select the object, you go up to your text wrap menu. You can do it up here or over here. You select wrap around object shape. You come down to the contour options and you use the contour option select subject. Right now it says user modified path because I modified that subject. You know, I moved the points, so it's modified. But you would first start with select subject. It would select your subject. You would bring your text in. It would automatically wrap around the subject. And then once you have that wrap, you can adjust the offset here by clicking a larger offset, and then start manipulating the little handles to get the text to wrap, you know, exactly the way you want. So it's as easy as that. A few steps involved, but it's Adobe Sensei is automatically making that selection, so it makes it that much easier. The second thing I want to talk about is a drop cap, and this will go by really quick. A drop cap is simply, I'm going to take this text and move it up out of the way. I'm going to take another block of text here and just fill that with placeholder text. Okay, fill with placeholder text. Now a drop cap is something that is you see in books and magazines, articles, things like that. It's when the first letter or first word or whatever drops, is a large letter. So let's say this F, we wanted this F to be a large letter to lead into the article. So I'm going to zoom into this. Basically, it's just a matter of taking your text tool, highlighting the character that you want to drop, and coming up here to your type parameters, clicking on your paragraph parameters, and over here you'll see your drop cap field. And this one says drop cap one or more characters. If I go to one character, that means I'm going to drop only the first character. If I go to two characters, it's going to drop the F and the A. Okay, this is how many lines do you want to drop. So if I go one line, that's what it is now. 2 lines, you notice how it's dropping 2 lines. 3 lines, it's getting bigger. 4 lines, it's getting even bigger. So this is a 4-line drop cap. You can see if I highlight this, it's 4 lines, 1 character dropping 4 lines. If I wanted to drop this whole word, I would highlight the whole word, and then I would drop 4 characters, or all these characters, 1 more, 2 more. Let me back out of this so that you can see. And what's happening now is that I have 6 characters dropping 4 lines. Okay, and that's what it would look like. It automatically wraps the text around the drop cap, so you don't have to do any kind of special text wrap. This is all one text box, so you don't have to deal with multiple objects on the page. Very simple to do and very simple to edit. So I can go back, highlight these, and just literally, make it 1 character dropping 4 lines, or 5 lines, or 6 lines, or whatever, and it automatically does that very quick. So we always see these things in articles and magazines and things like that, but this is how you do it in InDesign. Very simple and called a drop cap. Okay, so with that, that is how you do a text wrap. That is how you do a drop cap. Now there's other types of text wraps. We're not going to get into, all of the things that you can do with wrapping text, but these are the basics, and this is how you manipulate those points. With that, I am going to, I want to do that. I want to get back and in this video. So that is all drop caps and text wraps.